All right, so we're going to talk about the Unified Production Dashboard in OEE Pulse. First, we're going to talk about the category filters. These come from the data collector. You can set those in there and you can add new ones, custom ones in there. In order to view the categories correctly, we want to set all of our devices checked, and then we can use this to limit what we see. So right now we have just the assembly lines. So that's why we're seeing those two devices. We can add in like the printing line here, our printing lines, and then we'll get more devices, as you can see. So if we uncheck those and then just go by device, we can do that. So let's say I want to see the Ender and the Prusa. We can do that there. We can also do our series, or this can also be known as channels, where we can show these different lines, I guess, or rows. So right now we've got the job, process state, and scheduled job. Process state is like downtime, runtime. Let's say we want to add in hour and shift. We can do that. Now we've got our shift hours here. And there's our shifts right there. Let's say we want to remove the scheduled jobs and the jobs. We can do that. And you can see that there. Pretty simple. With the rotate pages, all of these devices have an assigned page. And so let's say we wanted to put this into like a kiosk mode, where we're showing a whole bunch of devices on a TV that's, in some sort of like lunchroom or something like that. Then we can turn on rotate pages and it will go through and only display a few devices at a time. Each page gets 30 seconds, and that's a configurable thing to rotate through, and then you can see, that data. And then it rotates to the next set of devices, etc. It's going to take a little bit to show that, but again, this is something you would use in like a kiosk type scenario. There we go. I guess on this page we only have the one device, but that's something that you can configure in the data collector. And then the only show data from running devices will remove any sort of devices that are in a no production state. So if they're not currently producing anything, then that will disable that. So actually right now, the Prusa is one of those devices that's not currently running. So we're going to go this shift, and we can see, oh, actually it's running again. Well, when it was not in production, if we had checked this, then it would have removed this from the view so that we're not seeing a bunch of lines that aren't running. Pretty handy for, if you've got certain lines that don't run very often, not cluttering up your screen with those. The other filters that we've got a date range filter. You need to be a little careful with this. If you select a lot of data, you will likely, it'll be too much data and it'll kind of time out, depending on how many devices. But we can pick a date range by starting here and then kind of selecting the end date there. We can also pick the different times. So this would be the 2:46 p.m. starting on the 14th. And then going until 6:46 on the 15th. And you can change that however you want. So that's what we've got here now. There's also a ability to select different shifts. You can do this shift, last shift. This shift, whole shift will, so right now you can see we've just started this shift. And so it's showing that entire range. This is a little bit more pertinent when you have scheduled jobs. So let's include the scheduled job because I think we do have some. Yeah. And if we had a bunch of jobs scheduled into the future, you would see that. But then we can go, last shift, and we can also do that with the arrow here. So if we click back, we've got last shift. Now we'll go 2 shifts ago, and you can see that there. You can also do part, which gets a little tricky. It starts to look a little weird if you have they're starting and running at different times. So I recommend more like, hour, day, week, stuff like that, or using this time range filter here. With this timeline widget here, we've got a tooltip that shows different data. This is very similar to what the Vorn device has, but because we can get access to ERP data, we can show all sorts of different stuff from the ERP system on here, which that's what makes it different. So we can put customer data in here, we can put part information, extra part information. Actually, we do have a part description. That's what this coil spring is here, and impeller blades. Pretty much anything that you'd want to display extra, you can go ahead and do that. And we can do that in the tooltip as well.